The new episode of Skibidi Toilet is finally out. We've been waiting for this new installment for almost a month, and its duration is record-breaking. In terms of the plot, I can confidently say that this episode marks the beginning of a new phase for the series. In this analysis, I'll frequently refer to Skibidi Toilet 73. In the full episode, several moments related to the Titan battle, G-Man have been altered, along with G-Man scene. Without dissecting this new episode, the analysis would be incomplete. Before diving in, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications if you haven't already. Believe me, it's important. The episode starts with interference and an unusual angle. However, this time, we're observing the events not through cameraman's perspective, but through a camera being held and adjusted by one of the agents. This cameraman character hasn't been seen in the series before. I'll try to speculate on who he might be, so watch the video until the end. He approaches and attaches the camera to TV Man Phantom's chest. By the way, Cameraman also has a similar camera. It turns out we've seen this TV Man character before in the extended version of the previous episode. After TV Man Titan gets angry and teleports, leaving G-Man behind, we see Cameraman Titan picking up Speaker Man Titan and limping away. When the camera approaches the entrance to the laboratory where the battle took place, we see Phantom for the first time. He, along with the Special Forces, infiltrates the laboratory and tells the camera woman not to interfere. Thus, we understand that in this new episode, this squad managed to infiltrate the laboratory. There are several cameramen and one speaker in it. Also, there are several cameraman's devices present, effective tools for combating the Skibidi. They also have a couple of flying camera drones, similar to the ones we saw in the 23rd episode, when they were repairing Cameraman Titan. However, these drones are equipped with a pair of lasers each. Phantom says, "Let's go," and something unexpected happens. We see Phantom surrounded by black smoke, and the camera experiences interference. He flies over the door and appears behind two Skibidi guards. For the first time in the entire series, we're shown how the teleportation of men works from their perspective. Now we understand that they can't instantly appear wherever they want, and that they cover any distance in a fraction of a second. They likely become intangible entities capable of passing through any objects. Furthermore, don't pay attention to the interference during teleportation, as we're observing it not from Phantom's perspective, but from the camera attached to him. Thus, it's likely that TV men see everything clearly without interference. It's also possible that the more powerful a TV man is, the faster they can move in this state. From previous episodes, we know that Big TV Man could teleport an entire container of agents to their base almost instantly, and TV Man Titan could teleport from this base to assist other Titans fighting the scientist fairly quickly. If everything works as I've speculated, and this type of teleportation isn't exclusive to Phantom, it slightly limits the overpowered nature of men's teleportation abilities. Phantom emits a powerful violet light that's strong enough to shatter the Skibidi glasses. He commands them to defend, hypnotizing them, and they move towards the next closed door, where Phantom applies teleportation again. He appears right in front of a certain Skibidi scientist. He has small metallic claws and lasers with which he shoots at TV men. Phantom, using cunning and experience, teleports a beam from one hand to the other, thereby reflecting the attack back at the Skibidi. He tells him, "Give me your head," and teleports the entire head of the wounded and furious scientist Skibidi into his hand. With this same head, he opens the door for the subordinate Skibidi. They immediately start firing lasers at their comrades. Next, he opens the door for the rest of the Special Forces. Phantom flies down the corridor and opens another door, finding behind it some beaten agents. They are all severely injured, some missing limbs, and on the floor lie the remains of what used to be their comrades. Now it's clear what happened in this part of the laboratory. He tells them to clear out and turns around, seeing that among all the Skibidi guards, only one survived. Wait, let's go back to the room. Some familiar tie. Exactly. It's the fan of TV woman. We last saw him in Skibidi 57 when Titan's cameras managed to free Titan's speaker from the parasite. Then he was still being pressed down by a beam, and everyone thought he was dead. Instead of him, TV woman saved Plunger. Apparently he's still alive, and all this time he's been here. We can understand that he's still alive, and he needs repair. It could be said that this is a legendary return. I hope he'll be repaired soon, and he'll show what he's capable of. Although maybe he'll have questions for the agents because, in fact, they left him, not ensuring that he didn't die. So, let's continue. Phantom sees that his minions have dealt with all the Skibidi themselves, and only one is left. He says, "Excellent job, bro," then approaches him and strokes his face. From his expression, it can be understood that the Skibidi's memory has returned, and Men immediately and cynically kills him with a retractable blade. He flies to the remaining closed door and opens it. When the door opens, we see I can say that something happened here. The thing is, I have a very old video with theories that's over a year old, in which I speculated that the Skibidi song is a way to create new individuals and infect Skibidi with a virus. In the 4th episode, we saw people sitting in a restaurant on toilets. And when a Skibidi entered the door and started singing, all the people sitting there turned into Skibidi. Now I can confidently say that another one of my old theories has been confirmed. There's also a very cool and subtle detail here, which I'll tell you about later. Believe me, you'll want to know it. So watch the video to the end. After Phantom smears the infected person on the wall, he says, "Their brains are rotten." By the way, this phrase is somewhat ironic and a reference. After this phrase, he orders the cameras to burn everything, and they do so. From is shown with blue flames and the screams of the infected. Next, he notices that the TV men have arrived for the evacuation. The same wounded agents, along with the big TV men, arrived, and TV woman is also here. Here unfolds a funny scene. The last one in the container carries a fan who, seeing TV woman, drops her photo and reaches for her, even though she doesn't notice him. After that, the container closes, and the big TV man teleports with him. When I said the situation was funny, I meant it's funny for us. Imagine being in his place. He's been held captive by the Skibidi, who disassembled his comrades for parts and experimented on them, and the only comfort he had was this photo. Of course, it's possible that Dafuk created the fan of TV woman as a comedic element in the series, but he still seems to me a very tragic character, especially now. Something interesting happens next. Phantom turns around and sees some drawings with inscriptions in the Skibidi language on the wall. From them, it can be understood that these are some improvements for Skibidi. At this moment, I'll refer back to my previous theory. In the previous episode, we saw that in the containers G-Man was leading, there were rocket engines for him. And I hypothesized that if the same improvements are in the other containers, with a high probability, this theory will come true. Of course, you may doubt that these improvements are specifically for He-Man, but there is substantial evidence in favor of my theory. First of all, on the drawings, we see that in the center of the toilet, there will be a core that apparently will power all these improvements and all the Skibidi. Such a core is only available to Giman, and Phantom notices this. He approaches the table and clears 3 items from it: pencils in a glass, a screwdriver, and a desk clock. I think you've already guessed what the reference here is: the fan-made Skibidi toy model from the Dom Studio channel. All 3 items symbolize the races present in this fan-made. I won't dwell too much on this, but it's worth mentioning the gesture from Dafak. So, Phantom's goal was to depict an image with Skibidi language inscriptions. In this photograph, we see a wounded and defeated G-Man with equipment from the Aster Skibidi. This is a crucial detail for the plot, revealing much. I'll explain the theory further. So, watch until the end. Phantom turns and looks at the cameraman, then uses teleportation. After some time, he finds himself at the TV base, specifically in the laboratory where TV men are studying the claw that the scientist men teleported in episode 72. Phantom hands the image of G-Man to the scientist and says, "Look." The scientist examines it closely and then vulgarly replies, "Turn off this camera." I'll explain what happened and what TV man is studying in this laboratory in the theory section. The image starts glitching, and we see that he was watching everything through his tablet. He and his colleague ask questions. Suddenly, Titan TV Man says, "I found them, connecting now." And on his main screen, he shows the image transmitted by one of the cameramen. We can see G-Squad, as I want to name them. Before the episode aired, Dafuk showed us a clip where this name was mentioned for G-Squad. We see He-Man's squad waiting for something or someone. Meanwhile, Skibidi workers are welding speakers. Apparently, they've been recruited to help repair wounded comrades or to install enhancements on someone. The DJ seems very pleased that she finally has some weapons, considering that Astro Skibidi broke it without even giving a second to fight Titans. We then see an armored Skibidi hybrid. We also first hear and then see Skibidi Jackson. A hybrid Rambo lands for an impromptu meeting, joyfully welcoming another member of G-Man's squad, namely, a hybrid with a circular saw, who is He-Man's favorite for his ruthlessness towards enemies. They shake hands, and just as they land firmly, the perpetrator of the celebration, G-Man, arrives. He says something to his squad and awkwardly joins them. Also seated on Hyman is the hunter scientist from Alpha Hills. Next, we see that the Skibidi have already noticed the cameramen, but the agent decides to escape from them through the alley. And then something happens. As a result, Skibidi managed to catch up with his target. But here's what's strange. How did G-Man's favorite manage to appear in front of the agent so quickly, leaning against the wall as if he had been waiting for the cameramen for some time? Of course, you could assume that he simply used his reactive backpack, but I think this hybrid is not that simple. The matter is not about intelligence or charisma, which are higher than those of other hybrids, and especially ordinary Skibidi. I think he has the ability to teleport like TV men. If the scientist could afford this technology, then he could give it to other Skibidi as well. After all, this hybrid can be said to be G-Man's right hand. But it could also be that the scientist improved the teleportation technology for Skibidi without side effects on the psyche, and installed this technology on this hybrid after the broadcast from the cameras is interrupted. Titan TV men say they are weakened, the perfect time for an attack. Clenching his fist, he looks at Titan cameraman with a slightly battered cane, showing that he too is ready. Titan turns to Titan speaker, showing that he is also ready, to which TV Titan says, "Not for you, crippled brothers, you two, go home." The speaker Titan is a little upset, takes off his improvised armor hat, looks at his little brothers who are dancing, happy that the final battle is about to begin and all these endless battles will come to an end. By the way, here you can notice one character whom we last saw in the 25th episode, Speaker Ryder. We just have to wait for Skibidi Cat, and then whatever will be will be. Titan also starts to perform his signature dance, Titan's Spearman dance, showing it on the screen. TV Man smiles, saying, "Today, this war will end," and starts teleportation. But suddenly, Titan Men teleports, and the scientist shouts, "No! Bring their leader to our base alive!" Titan hears this and replies, "You've gone mad." The scientist continues, "We must see the whole picture before it's too late." After that, TV Titan asks, "What's going on?" as the melody changes to a worried wind howl and clouds gather over the Titans. Two cameramans notice something shocking on their tablet, and the other cameras quickly grab their tablets to find out what happened. On the screen, we see a hellish scene. The Astro Skibidi fleet destroys agents in a matter of seconds. The broadcast ends when an Astro fighter finds the last camera agents. The agents and Titans are in complete shock at what they saw him. By the way, then an Astro Skibidi fighter flies towards them, not one or two, but a whole fleet led by a leader who appears slightly differently from the others. When he arrives, a yellow rift is visible. Apparently, he is too massive to appear on the battlefield in a fraction of a second, or the same technology is used by their race for rapid movement over very long distances. An astrofighter approaches the agents, shooting at them. When the smoke clears, we see that Titan cameramen and the cameras have also suffered greatly. Titan raises his thumb, then rushes at one of the Skibidi, distracting part of the fleet. Titan speaker tries to help his brother, but TV Titan grabs him and says, "I can't lose both of you." Then he teleports together with the remaining Titan. All the agents panic and try to escape, but a projectile flies under them, and this is what we see at the end. Now let's move on to my theories. Let's start in order. Who is this camera from the Special Forces in a white shirt? It could be assumed that he is some kind of elite repairman or scientist, but he stands out among them. He has 3 cameras, and a blue glow emanates from the main one. Similar blue glow from the camera we've already seen with Plunger after the encounter with Titan camera. Therefore, we conclude that it's somehow linked to Titan, supported by the positioning of the cameras, resembling an unimproved Titan, and the emblem of the cameraman. For instance, he could be the chief scientist, as he's the first in the series to use mini cameras, one of which hangs directly on him. Additionally, we see flying repairmen with lasers near him, suggesting he might control them. We'll likely encounter him further in the series, possibly as a replacement for the absent Plunger agent. Now, let's delve into the theory of Guimond's past. The Skibidi flyer distributed earlier explicitly reveals his previous appearance, confirming he's an Astro Skibidi, but not an ordinary one. As mentioned by Astro Scorpio, he was a commander. The photo was likely taken during battle, given Guimond's injuries. His adversary remains a mystery, possibly hinted at by the unearthly cityscape behind him. This architectural style indicates a non-human origin, leading to 2 possibilities. The the former TV Man world, or G-Man's rebellion against Astro Skibidi. The latter aligns with Scorpio's statements and explains why the scientist ordered Titan to capture him alive, knowing G-Man's history. The next theory is next. When we were shown infected people, I said that you might not notice a few details that most likely do not answer questions, but ask new ones. There is no way to do without retelling the additional scene of episode 73. In this episode, the Phantom tells Camerawoman to mind her own business and stay out of it. We can see that the wound left after the woman camera tore the arm off the explosion begins to sparkle. A camera repairman runs up to her, who quickly repairs the damage, but then an axe flies into his back. As it turns out, one of the hybrids survived and is already ready to deal with the wounded agents. But TV Woman teleports to the rescue, who wounds Skibidi with a switchblade and finishes it off with a yellow glow, which, as we remember, sets fire to the target. As I said in the last analysis, Woman did not die in the explosion of the scientist and was able to teleport at the last moment, although not without damage. Suddenly, several shots and screams are heard from afar. The woman's camera flies towards the noise in order to find out what is going on there. She sees the door, entering which we see a Skibidi and the body of a man next to it. Camerawoman shoots a squib of owls, turning around in time, destroys 2 more. She goes further down the corridor where we also see a human body. And here's what happens next. All these people have headphones for protection. You will soon understand why this scene is important for my next theory. Back to those charged people. What if I tell you that we've already seen some of the people in this room on the show? I'm talking about 3 of them, 2 scientists and a man with a black tie. More precisely, we saw their image in Toilet 70, when a squad of agents led by a still-alive Skibidi managed to enter the room. The image seen there showed, yes, Defuk shakes hands. In general, the series enters a new phase, a full-scale confrontation with Astro Skibidis. Things started off poorly for the agents, but gradually, as they improve and study the technologies, they can start winning. The found humans may play a crucial role, as among them are scientists who can aid in developing new weapons. Also, we shouldn't forget about the men's PC factor. It's still unclear what Defuk wants exactly, but he's clearly waiting for something, possibly a key moment in the battle to assist the agents. Thanks for subscribing me and goodbye everyone.